Hello, everybody. I'm Toby Schifsky. I am the Executive Director of Real Estate Education at Kaplan, and specifically today, Dearborn Real Estate Education. Today, we're going to go through kind of this topic of continuing education for your school. Continuing education is a kind of an always moving animal, and I see some schools do it really well. Some schools do it okay. Some schools don't even touch on it. So the fact that you're here today says, you know what, I'm interested in continuing education, and we're going to go ahead and go through this really quick. And first, what I want to do is I really want to talk a little bit about why we do continuing education. What is the real benefit of doing it, and how do we continue to drive revenues with continuing education? And then we're going to go into the specifics of all the courses that we offer, some of the new courses that we offer, and the new things that we're trying. One of the things we struggle with sometimes is getting some of our partners to adopt the new courses. I'm going to cover some of them because we're doing some really cool stuff that I think you're going to like. And we're going to ask you some questions along the way, some polling questions, and I'll kind of tailor how we talk about this over the next 30 minutes according to really who's in the session with us today. So first poll question, some of you have been here for a while. I see a lot of names that I recognize on the attendee list, but I'm going to ask a really quick poll question. And the first poll question is, what is your role at your school? And so if you're on your phone, you might have to swipe to a second page, but I'm going to go ahead and launch this poll. Everybody click into the poll. Don't do it into the text chat, but go ahead, and here goes the launch. I'm launching the poll question. Answer one of these answers. The poll question is, what is your role with your school? Hey, I own the place. How about that? That'd be a great answer right off the bat. I'm a school director or general manager, or I'm an administrator. Man, I make this place really go. I mean, without me, this place would crumble. I'm an administrator. I touch everybody, students, instructors, whatever your role is. I'm an instructor. Listen, you don't have a product unless you got me. I'm your instructor. And instructors, we know, are important. And then finally, I don't even have a school yet, but I'm looking to start one. So good for you for being here, because we are going to impart some wisdom, some trials, some tribulations, and a couple of rough spots in the roads too about continuing education. We're going to do that today. All right. I think we got just about everybody responded. 5, 4, and oh, by the way, these polls are anonymous, so nobody sees your name on these polls. And I will always post the results, so everybody gets to share. So 3, 2, 1. All right, and I'm going to share the results. So I got to look over at this screen over here. So how about this? We got 33% of you own the place. Good for you. Good for you for being here. 33% say I'm a school director, manager. Some of you may have multiple roles. You know, like you do everything, the jack of all. That's great too. I'm an administrator, 13%. I'm an instructor, 13%. And I don't even have a school yet. So 7% are saying I don't even have a school yet. And so you'll have an opportunity at the end of this too. If you want to reach out and connect with Chris Robinson, by all means, just chat him right now. He can help set you up and help you start your school. That's what Dearborn does, is help schools and help people start their schools. So let's go ahead and jump right in. The first thing is, why continuing education? Well, it's about the money. I mean, just about everybody we work with is in a for-profit education situation. So are we. We're in a for-profit education situation. And so understanding how big the marketplace is, I'm just going to give an overview, and then I'm going to give a kind of a thumbnail of a quick down and dirty to determine what your market share is. I know some states post where people actually go to get their continuing education. Some states will tell you exactly what your market share is. I'm thinking of Florida as one of those. Other states, nobody relinquishes that information at the state to say where people got their continuing education. And so lots of times you have to try to determine, how big is my market? Is it really worth being in? And how much of the market do I actually already command? And how much more can I go get? Because, like I said, we're in for-profit education business. So how big is the continuing education market? How about this? I think there's 2.3 million licensees. Some would say 2.6. Some will say within a year there'll be 2 million, but give and take. You can use this equation however you want. This is how I look at it. So when I've got to talk to my execs up the line, because we're in a big publicly traded company, I have to tell them about what the market is, what the total available market is for our business. 2.3 million is the number I use nationwide. And we're going to break this down to on a state level if you're just on a state, but 2.3 million nationwide. On average, I can tell you across the country, it's about 8 hours of CE average per year. Now, I know some states require 15 and some states require, 45 hours every, 4 years, and some require 24 hours every 3. But on average, across the board, it's about 8 hours of CE a year. That's the number I use. When I report up, that's what I use. 8 hours average CE per year. So what does that look like? Well, 2.3 million licensees times 8 hours a year is basically 18.4 million hours annually. That's kind of the total hours out there. And we all know that not everybody gets to charge for continuing education. Some organizations do it for their agents. Some brokerages do it for their agents for free, right? Some people offer free education, trying to entice agents to come in and look at, these companies, these organizations, right? Free. We compete against free all the time. I love competing against free, by the way. Competing against discount, I find, is a little bit harder, but free is I love competing against free, because at some point, somewhere, some way, somebody's got to pay for it. And what happens, like in a market we're entering right now, where things are kind of softening a little bit on the licensing side, and where we're going to probably have people leaving the industry over the next couple of years, people who haven't retired in the last 2, 3, 4 years, finally leaving. Some of those pools might shrink, the total numbers. And what happens is somebody's got to pay for that continuing education. And generally, when it comes to free, there's nobody left there to pay, and the free goes away. So, but competing wise, you're competing for those 18.4 million hours nationally. Now, you got to figure this out on your own, on your state. I'm going to give you a little equation that I use for that in a second. But 18.4 million hours annually. What is that at an average dollar per hour? Okay, so some of you are in states where it's $1.50 an hour for a correspondence course, right? So how much per hour can you actually get for your continuing education? What are you doing to differentiate yourself? What kind of quality education? What kind of a quality experience? These are the pieces that come into what you can actually charge. And what I see across the country is I see anywhere from $1.50 an hour to $25 an hour. Since we come back from COVID, we are seeing in-person live education where there's a demand. It's not everywhere. Believe me, it's not everywhere. But where there is, there's generally the willingness to pay a premium. In fact, a premium that is bordering on almost 10, 15, 20, 35, 40, maybe even 50% more than what they would have paid before COVID, which is interesting. Not saying it's everywhere, but we are. So anywhere from $1.50 to $25 an hour is what we can see across the country for continuing education. If anybody sees anything different than that, drop it into the chat. I know it's a wide range. So if I narrow this down and say, what's the average? It's about $5.65 an hour. Now, if you're in a state that's only getting $1.50, you're going to have a business model that works for that. But if you're in a state that you're getting $10 an hour for your education, big thumbs up, good for you. Figure out, once again, how to differentiate yourself and how you're going to continue to kind of drive value to those students. But on average, this is what I report up, about $5.65 an hour. So what's the total market cap on that? Total available market? It's about $100 million, $103 million, $104 million. Now, do you just want a little piece of that? Yes, you do. That's why you're here. So that's why we're all here. We want a piece of that. And how are you going to do that? How do you drive that value? Well, number one, the first thing we learned during the kind of start of the pandemic is you got to meet the students where they want to be met. Do you have the right delivery methods? Are you delivering it where they want to get it? Like I said, in some areas, we are seeing in-person education able to kind of command a premium. But in a lot of areas, home study, correspondence courses are still the number one draw. And it's because it's simple and it's easy and it's fast. Not everybody for continuing education is looking for, to vastly improve their business. But I would argue everybody wants something out of something they pay for. Everybody wants value. Everybody would love to sit down and take a continuing education course that made them, bigger, faster, smarter, stronger about 2, 3, or 4 things that they can employ in their business every time they sit down. That's how we build the courses at Dearborn. We build them to make sure we're imparting those golden nuggets, we call them. You have to give the golden nuggets that they can employ immediately in their business. So just so you know, the guiding principles for us are you have to have golden nuggets for everybody. Everybody at every level, basically, of their career arc, so to say, also. So beginner, intermediate, advanced, all of them have to be able to get something out of the continuing education. So that goes into just about every single thing that we build for continuing education, first off. Now, how do you determine your market share? Some of you got it easy. Your state reports it like, all right, everybody went here, here's what the continuing it. But most states don't. And I know because we're in most states and most states don't. So most states, you got to kind of guess like how many hours. And there's lots of ways to do it. I just use this simple thumbnail. I'll give it to you. You can determine your market share, right? So here's how quick it is. And this is how simple it really is. And it's only really valuable as a snapshot. This little equation is good to kind of, give you a kind of an idea, but it's really only valuable over time. So as you compare year to year to year, and as you try different things, these numbers will change, right? So these numbers will change. And when these numbers change, you will start to realize a picture of if you're actually going up or if they're actually going down in your market share. So total number of licensees in your state times the total average annual hours. If your state has a 2-year renewal and you need 30 hours in that 2-year renewal, you can assume the average is going to be 15 hours 1 year and 15 hours the next. Whatever the average hours is for you, times your average dollar per hour that you get. If you just deliver online asynchronous courses, you probably have a really good idea on the pricing of just how much money you're getting on a per hour basis for that education, right? If you've got mixed delivery methods, and I'm going to ask you a polling question a little bit later to see if what kind of delivery methods you're using, but if you're using different delivery methods, you're going to have to average it out to say, here's my average of what I'm charging on a per hour basis. That'll give you your state's total available market according to your pricing, but it's good because you're just determining your market share. Then you take your annual total sales divided by your TAM, your total available market, and that's your market share. Once again, as a snapshot, it's fun to look at, good to see. But what it should do for you is give you an idea of just how much more available market there is out there. And then you say, is it worth going after that? And if it is, we've probably got the courses to help you do that. In fact, like I said, we're doing some interesting things with continuing education. And so I'm going to do this. I want to go ahead and kind of jump right in. We offer a variety of timely, market-sensitive, hot topic continuing education courses. That's a big part of what we do, right? I mean, that's a extremely important part. In fact, we've got like 40 online courses, CE courses, 40 different national topic online CE courses. For those of you doing in-person education, we have like 11 books for live in-person or live online education. We vastly outnumber when it comes to online courses that we deliver through REcampus, 40 of them, because they're a little different structure, those 40. And you're gonna realize that as we kind of go through this. Some of them are text-based online courses, which a lot of the books, comes from the books that we have that we offer for in-person education. But many of them are more of a lecture outline. A lot of them have video of an instructor. Now, as we move into kind of this next phase of continuing education for Dearborn. Courses are either, the asynchronous text-based or they're the on-demand video-based. New national CE topics released every year. We're going to cover a bunch that we've released in the last 2 years, and even some, I got one that just released yesterday. So All courses are offered IDEC or Aurelo approved, so you don't have to worry about regulations and approvals. I can tell you this, there's one caveat. We have a lot of these courses. Here's the bane of my existence. When I got into this 20 years ago, I thought, this is going to be awesome. I came from a state that was very liberal on what they allowed for continuing education topics. And so we're going to rule the world with continuing education courses that were, fantastic about marketing and negotiating and business systems and all these things that people really need to know. You can't get a lot of those approved. So if you're in one of those states that has a very restrictive, you should know we've got you covered, right? So I don't know if you've got the catalog, but this is the Dearborn catalog. We send it over here. If you want one, throw it into the chat. They'll send you send a message to Chris Robinson if you haven't got one, and he'll send you one. We also have an email address. We'll put it up at the end here, and it's at dearborn.com. You can find this at dearborn.com for an electronic version. It's very cool. It's flipped through. It's beautiful. It's got everything in there. But the cool thing about this Dearborn catalog is we actually have it broken out by states in the back. We got Nevada, right? Massachusetts. We got all the states. And what we have is we'll have a list of any of the state-specific continuing education, right? And also in this book will be all the national classes. So you're going to see in the front of the book, it'll have all the national courses listed for you. All right. So that's the total of everything listed. Now there's one more specific. If you want to know exactly which national CE courses are approvable in your state, there's one more step, and I'm going to give you that at the end of this too. One more step where you can get an exact list emailed to you with exactly what's approvable in your state. Okay. And you'll get that at the end. So here we go. I'm going to ask you a poll question. All right, everybody, you get to play along. Play along with me. Once again, answers are anonymous, but I want to know what type of delivery methods are you employing? And you can answer more than one on this one, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and put the poll up. Once again, if you're on your cell phone, you might have to swipe back in, and I'm going to go ahead and launch the poll. Here you go, everybody. Take a second to answer. What types of delivery methods are available at your school? Go ahead, drop in an answer. That way, I can tailor this a little bit to what we've got going on. I know we've got a third of the people in here are owners, and a third of the people are directors or general managers. I know we got a couple instructors in here and a couple admins in here. So, all right, we're going to go ahead and give 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then once again, I'm going to go ahead and share the results, everybody. All right. So I'm going to end the poll. I'm going to share the results. So about 77% of you say, listen, we do asynchronous. 54% say we're doing synchronous. We're doing live online also. Great. In-person live, 77%. How about that? The winner today, well, tied for the win, I guess, in person. So you're back at it with in person. That's awesome. I'm wondering if you're finding the same thing that we're finding, that there's an appetite. There are some people that just want in person. It's not as many as what we saw before the pandemic, but those that do want it are willing to pay, is what we're seeing. So hopefully you're seeing that too. And then home study, right? It's got 23% also offer home study. Not all states allow all delivery methods. So I totally get that. So thank you for sharing. Okay. Let's go in. General continuing education. Okay, we offer general, tried and true, the courses that cover universal topics. So once again, remember me back in my crazy days of coming into this business going, I'm going to rule the continuing education world. We're going to create these fantastic topics that can go everywhere, and they really don't all go everywhere. But these topics do. These are general topics that are basically approvable in every state. Very straightforward. Everyday ethics in real estate, for years used to help people satisfy their NAR ethics requirement, right? Every 2 years, and it was every 3 years. And I, sometimes lose track of that. Different story now. Associations have a pretty tight grip on ethics. We still offer the course because it's a great course. Who doesn't want ethical people in our business, right? Fair housing courses, right? Also available. Any of these with the double star on it are also available in the book form. And once again, you can get the catalog, or you can contact your sales contact at Dearborn, and they can walk you through all this also. So personal safety in real estate, that's ability. How do you not get, trapped or fish to show up at a location alone, those kind of things. Property management, managing risk, tried and true, straightforward. Real estate taxes, what every agent should know, right? Real estate finance today. A lot of these are topics that are kind of timeless, but we always update these courses too. So we make sure that they are always, all right, ready to play, ready to go. And a lot of you offer these. So like I remember red flags, and I took red flags property inspection, 15 years ago. I'm a card carrying member. I have my license. I do my own continuing education. I also shop my competitors. So, but I've taken a home inspection 15 years ago. I can tell you the course is completely different than it was before. Same title. We're on like version, I don't know, 27 or something like that. But it's always being updated on a regular basis, these courses. All right. Next, we offer some specialty continuing education. Dearborn offers a wide variety of specialty continuing education, right? And what are we looking at for specialty continuing education? Well, generally, we've got a little list, and we allow, hang on one second, just getting to it. Yes, specialty continuing education. You pick courses are relatable to situations specific to your market. So these specialty continuing education topics are what we, they're maybe not approvable in every state, and they maybe don't apply in every state. But you know what? Rotate courses from year to year, giving your students something fresh to look at. Like I said before, there's an interesting thing that happens sometimes. People put continuing education out on their REcampus portals, and it's kind of a fire and forget sort of a thing. Like I'm going to stick on. Keep refreshing. We found that with new titles, right? When you can say new title, new offerings, people are interested. They're interested in new. And like I said, I took red flags in property home inspection. I would have a really hard time mentally jumping to taking that course again. I know it's a completely new course that I took 15 years ago, but not everybody understands that. And are you marketing, when a course is updated, that it's a completely updated course? Those are the kind of things that I think you got to keep rotating fresh. We always do. We always try to make sure that we have fresh offerings in a continuing education for packages that complete the entire requirement. Anywhere we can, we try to complete the entire requirement. And 90% of our sales are on complete packages. So I need you to be thinking about how you're keeping fresh stuff in front of people as often and regular as possible as a strategy. We're in for-profit education business. How do you be profitable? In continuing education, fresh and new is important. It just is. All right. So especially continuing education, we have a bunch of courses, avoiding deceptive practices, right? Foreclosure, short sales, and REOs. Revamped, renewed. That course was hot in 2007, 2008, very specialized. When we went through the first housing crisis, it has been updated, and it may become important again. So that makes this list as a fresh update. We did it on purpose just to make sure we're ready for the market. Houses buy, fix, sell, once again, been hot. I think investment has kind of slowed down a little bit. So, but that course is still solid. Liars, cheaters, and thieves, one of my favorite courses ever. It's told like a story. It's like each one has a little vignette of a scenario that takes people through how they got scammed in real estate. It's really a cool course. Mediate, litigate, or arbitrate, millennials, protecting elders from real estate scams, repurposing property, friend or foe. That's the old eminent domain question. Can you really repurpose property? And is that a good thing or a bad thing? And it's really about eminent domain and taking private land for private use, meaning a developer comes in and goes to a city and says, I want to redevelop this land. And the city says, yep, we're going to let you take it from another private individual and let you develop it. Is that good or bad? The course kind of plays along those lines, and you get a really clear understanding of the situations where it's good and situations where it's not so good. So scam, scoundrels, and real estate stings, another really good course for a kind of a fun, it's a text-based course, very fun read, a very good read. Solving the down payment dilemma, CIC paper chase. I got one more for you here, and then I'm going to jump to the next screen. But tiny house, is it a phase or a craze? Tiny house has been around for a little while. They were all we've just updated that with new material. And I can tell you, if you're in the right market, this is once again, if you're in the right market, this is a big deal. If you're in, Washington State, Seattle, if you're in Idaho, if you're in, Nevada, if you're in Minnesota, the Midwest, or even the Upper East, this is a big deal. And that course covers everything. So if you're not offering tiny house, it's also one of the most video heavy courses that we have. Super solid, right? Truth about mold, tried, true, tested course, excellent course, updated again also. So today's real estate event marketing 20, which is on print only, 20 cost-effective home improvements. I can tell you right now, brand new course. Guess who stars in it? I star in it. Now you can tell we can't afford really good actors and actresses if I'm doing it, but I do it with another guy who's an expert contractor, and we talk about the 20 most cost-effective improvements in a house, and it's all on video, and it's a really cool format. It's different than anything we've done before. But here's the cool thing is there's kind of a big aha reveal. And the aha reveal for your students is there's only 2 things that actually make money as the top 20 most effective home improvements. And this course kind of lays it all out, what you're really looking at when you're talking about cost-effective home improvements. So excellent specialty continuing education all the way through. We also have specialty continuing education, brand new ones coming out, right? These are the following that have just released, first time ever in the last 2 years. Essentials of Technology and Data Security. It's a big thing. You should know this. Houses from the Ground Up. Really, this is for entry-level people that know nothing about the homes they're selling, right? Houses, Why Bad Things Happen to Good Houses. It's all about water intrusion, mold, settling, all those kind of things. Beautiful video course. Law Chronicles, but really I want to just concentrate on these last 2. Principle-centered real estate is a whole new type of course. The gentleman who does this course for us, it's a video course, and typically does a very emotional representation of what happens when you have a principle-centered real estate. It's about ethical, principle-centered, and who are you really representing? He regularly gets people to cry in his courses, and that intrigued us. And so Ixane is his name. He goes by one name, Ixane, and he does a fantastic job. Super cool. Along with Unconscious Bias, a barrier to service. Unconscious bias is a big thing out there. Understanding really what is the root of it, and how are their systems and history in place that has kind of had a bias within real estate. Every real estate agent should know this stuff. Super cool, super interesting courses, right? New specialty topics coming in 2023. Introduction to Real Estate Investment. Solid course, fully up to today's standards and norms about what people should be looking at. Respect RESPA, how to avoid penalties and loss of license. We're seeing more and more RESPA violations being prosecuted. Excellent, quick hitter, immediate need course. Real estate bloopers, right? Kind of a fun one, preventing client horror stories. And then New Hope for the Housing Market, which is really about affordable housing. And what does affordable mean? I think we all think affordable housing is, we're going to take maybe some people who are unhomed or homeless. That's not it. What this is about how do you make it affordable so that your kids can live in the same community you're in. Very cool, very interesting class, right? To see all courses available and approvable in your state, though, this is key. You can contact Sales Ops, and you're going to want to get the list of national CE courses adoptable by your state. So contact the Sales Ops at Dearborn.com, take down that address. Maybe Chris Robinson can just drop it in the text chat and you guys can grab it from there. But you provide, and we can provide you your state's sales price list. What is that course going to cost you to offer? And is it approvable in your state? So those guys will email that out to you. Go ahead and grab that. All right. State-specific continuing education, we have it in all of these states here. So if your state has a specific requirement, specific annual requirement, we're generally doing it, and you'll have state-specific information there. Obviously, you can see this also in the Dearborn catalog. Those will all be in the Dearborn catalog. All right. What are you looking for, right? Are there any current education topics? As we come down to near the end of this, are there any continuing education? Have you said, hey, Toby, you know what? I've been looking for this, and I know it's approvable in my state, and I think that maybe it's just my state, or I think this could be a national thing, but I would really like to offer it to my students. I'm going to ask you right now to play along and put it in the chat, in the text chat. Put in your topic ideas and say, listen, I would really wish Dearborn was doing this. I know what we've done in the last couple of years is we've gone from, 8-hour courses to 6-hour courses, 4-hour courses, 3-hour courses. In some states allow for shorter time courses than 3-hour courses to be approvable. Some offer 2-hour, some you can even go down to 1-hour courses. We now offer 1-hour, 2-hour continuing education courses, kind of this getting to the thought of smaller chunks of information to be delivered to the students, right? And almost even a just-in-time sort of education. If you haven't seen it, but figured it out, but you see in our titles, we're moving more to these kind of hot topics that can be just-in-time education that people can take it. There's a need for it instantly, and they can go through it an hour or 2 hours or 3 hours and be done with it quick and get continuing education for it. A little tricky, because not every state allows those kind of, courses and the hourly conventions. Gets a little tricky, but go ahead, drop in your thoughts on what you think the kind of the continuing education offerings that we could offer that we don't. I would love to see it. I know we try to survey students. We try to do all these kind of things to come up with what those topics are, but you're right there. You're right in the thick of it, and we want to be your partner. All right. You'll have a little bit of time to do that. We're just wrapping up. I would say, anybody else have any other questions for me? Go ahead and drop it in the chat, or you can email salesops@dearborn.com. And also, let's do this. Download the Dearborn catalog. If you don't have it already, most of you do. If you don't, here's where you go to get it. And you can see the full updated list. Very straightforward, very simple. All right. Just one little thing for next month's webinar. We're going to be looking at how to make the most of pre-licensing students to returning education. If you're in the situation now where you had a very good couple of years doing licensing education, and your licensing education is softening, if you're like me, you're looking at where the business is. And where the business is post-licensing and then continuing education. Some states don't require post-licensing. That's why you're here for continuing education. How are you reaching those students and making sure you are top of mind for them when it's time for them to get their post-licensing and to get their continuing education? We're going to be doing a webinar next month on just that. We're going to have marketing manager Sarah Scobie back, and we are going to be and Kate Papke, our client success manager, talking about how to use the systems we have and how to market to those people to get them back. You have to keep your post-licensing and continuing education students in your conveyor belt of education, that lifelong learner that you want to support. And we're doing our darndest to create these hot topic, urgent, continuing education pieces in the right format, in the right time, hourly conventions for you to make sure we give those golden nuggets to those students so that they get value every time they come to you. Once again, appreciate your time. Go ahead and drop your chat in the chat, and we will talk again soon, everybody. Thank you.